There are moments that define a generation, moments when the world takes a sudden breath and a new chapter begins. Today, that moment belongs to Uganda. Uganda has made a thunderous move. President Yoweri Museveni has severed military ties with Germany. It is a message to the world. Africa is standing up on its own feet. Leaders like Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso, Assimi Goïta of Mali, and Abdourahmane Tchiani of Niger. Leaders who have faced down empires and walked away with their pride intact. Leaders who are shaping what could become a new era for Africa, an era of dignity, self-reliance, and unapologetic pride. And now, Uganda has joined the rising tide. President Yoweri Museveni is no stranger to international diplomacy. For nearly 4 decades, he has maneuvered through the ever-shifting terrain of global politics with the precision of a chess master. He's been praised, criticized, underestimated, and sometimes feared. He has worked with the West, taken aid, signed deals, and trained troops with NATO allies. But even then, Museveni kept one eye open, one foot outside the door, because he knew what many leaders ignored. A partnership that comes with conditions is not a partnership. It's control in disguise.
We are interested in more and more intensive cooperations for the future.
Over the years, he began to push back, quietly at first. He spoke of sovereignty, of Uganda's right to chart its own path, of Africa's need to stop being a battlefield for foreign interests. And then came the spark.
Why the European governments?
In the west of the continent, a young soldier was rising. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a name that now echoes from Mali to the shores of Lake Victoria. A man who defied French hegemony, who expelled foreign troops, who declared, Africa must protect itself.
Burkina Faso est fatigué avec le cas de la France. Alors le Burkina Faso veut rompre toute relation qui existe entre ce pays et la France.
What began as a local revolution in Burkina Faso quickly ignited a continental awakening. Mali followed. Niger joined. The Sahel region began to roar with the sound of reclamation. And Museveni, he was watching. He understood what few did. Traoré wasn't just removing troops. He was removing a mindset. He was ripping off the blindfold that had kept Africa chained to Western promises for decades. And in that moment, Museveni faced a choice: stand still or rise with the movement. He chose to rise. What followed was a wave of pride and unity across the country. Young Ugandans took to social media, cheering the decision. In the markets of Kampala, in the universities of Makerere, in the rural heartlands, the people understood what this meant. For the first time in years, many felt that Uganda was speaking with its own voice. Museveni's move has cracked the mold, and once cracked, it can never be put back. Uganda, like Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, is taking the hard road, the road of self-sufficiency, of continental alliances, of pride. And that road is not just political, it is cultural, spiritual, psychological. For decades, Africa was told it needed help. Help to fight terrorists, help to keep peace, help to build democracy. But that help always came with a flag, and behind that flag came boots, guns, surveillance, and deals made in cold rooms, far away from the villages they claimed to protect. Uganda, like many African nations, played along for a time. The West came with promises, training, equipment, intelligence. In return, they gained influence, access, and control. It was a modern-day protectorate dressed up in the language of cooperation, but behind every partnership was an assumption that African nations could not defend themselves, that African minds could not strategize, that African sovereignty was negotiable. Uganda has now rejected that assumption, loudly, and in doing so, it has shattered the mask. Germany's military involvement in Uganda was part of a broader Western strategy: Quiet but deliberate. Berlin didn't send armies. It sent advisors, trainers, security experts. But make no mistake, the influence was deep. Through these programs, German doctrines shaped Ugandan military thinking. Communication systems were designed with European oversight. Defense coordination passed through Western filters. And just like that, sovereignty was quietly leased out, bit by bit, bite by bite. This is the game that Traoré exposed in West Africa, and it is the same game Museveni has just called out. See, the real battlefield is not just land, it's influence, narrative, control over who gets to define security in Africa. In the Sahel, where Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger have faced waves of conflict, Western troops have come and gone, leaving instability in their wake. Despite billions in funding, terrorist groups have grown. Despite years of training, African nations remained dependent. Despite promises of peace, war lingered. So what was really the mission? Was it peacekeeping or gatekeeping? That is the uncomfortable question now echoing in Uganda. President Museveni, long a sharp observer of global dynamics, knows the answer, and he is not alone. Across the continent, leaders are beginning to see the pattern. Where the West arrives, with soldiers, sovereignty suffers. Where advisors land, independence takes off. Where foreign bases rise, local power falls. And now, Uganda has decided to break that pattern. But this move isn't about isolation, it's about alignment. Museveni is not turning away from the world, he's turning toward Africa. In recent months, Uganda has intensified regional defense talks with neighbors like Rwanda, Tanzania, and the DRC. The East African community is becoming more than an economic bloc. It's evolving into a security alliance. The message is clear. We will defend our own borders. Together. This is the Traoré doctrine in motion. Security through sovereignty, not subordination, and that more than anything terrifies the old powers. Because if Uganda can succeed without them, who's next? From the Sahel to the Great Lakes, Africa is realigning, not just in policy, but in psychology. The colonial mindset, the idea that safety must come from Europe, that governance must be certified by Washington, that legitimacy must be blessed by Paris, is dying. In its place rises a new ideology, Afro-realism, a belief that Africa's future will be shaped by African hands, that peace is not imported, it is built, that power is not borrowed, it is owned, and Uganda, long seen as a regional stabilizer, is now also becoming a regional symbol of what it means to choose pride over permission. Look at the trends. France has been kicked out of Mali and Burkina Faso. US troops have been ordered to leave Niger. Germany has now been shown the door in Uganda, and while Western forces exit, a new structure is being built. A Pan-African security network, informal, decentralized, but deeply grounded in shared purpose. At its core, the understanding that African security is not a service to be outsourced, but a birthright to be protected. It's not about rejecting help, it's about redefining it. Uganda doesn't want isolation. It wants respect. It doesn't want confrontation. It wants control. And above all, it wants ownership of its own defense. Africa is no longer waiting for permission. In Burkina Faso, Captain Ibrahim Traoré said enough. In Mali, Assimi Goïta echoed the call. In Niger, Abdourahmane Chiani followed suit. And now, from the hills of Kampala to the plains of Karamoja, President Yoweri Museveni has stepped into the same current. The tide is shifting, away from foreign mandates and toward a continental vision. Welcome to the dawn of the Pan-African Shield. Africa is rising, not just economically, not just culturally, but militarily. Not in aggression, but in assertion. From the deserts of Timbuktu to the forests of Mabera, a shield is forming. Not one made of steel, but of unity, pride, and resolve. Uganda has taken its place. Traoré has drawn the line, and millions are following, quietly, boldly, unshakably. The age of foreign militaries deciding African futures is ending. A new alliance is dawning, and the shield. It is African, it is rising, and it is ours.